Bounty, 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 hunters, I love you. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. Bounty Hunters are probably my favorite faction, and we're going to rank all of the characters in it. We did Sith last month, so you can find infographics for this ranking and for the Sith one on my video, or on my Discord server. You can find it in the video description. It's linked there. Go check it out. We're also going to be doing a video for the Bounty Hunter Zeta's ranking. You guys can check that out. It's going to be linked in the video description, as well as linked at the end of the video. If you're done with this video, you can just click on it there. If you wait to the end, there's 17 bounty hunters and 27 bounty hunter Zetas, and they're all ranked. We're going to rank these ones, the bounty hunters themselves, from worst to best. So we're going to preserve the suspense, guys. It's going to be crazy. Huge shout out to my patrons. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for all your support. I truly appreciate every single one of you. And guys, just a reminder, if you want to mount the algorithm, all you have to do is support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing, something, dinging the bell. It's a good time, folks. Here's a very brief show a picture of my infographic for bounty hunters, and now this is for my Sith faction as well. You guys can find a link to my Discord server. You can find these infographics for free over there. You can share them with your friends, your family, your loved ones, your grandma, whoever you want to share them with. They're free on my Discord server. It's in a channel called Infographics Factions, or maybe Factions Infographics, toward the bottom of the server. Big server, guys, 6,000 or more people who just come to talk about Galaxy of Heroes. So, that being said, we've talked for 2 minutes about all the stuff leading up to this. Let's jump into the actual, whoa, it's pre-bandaged Dengar himself at number 17, Madness. Who would have thought, folks? He knows he's gonna get a head wound soon, and he's prepared for it, guys. He's like, haha, the joke's on you. I'm already bandaged for the damage I just took. That he's the worst of a faction that I feel like doesn't really have any losers in it, guys. It's a great faction. The thing is, he's just kind of winds up a day late and a dollar short, or a credit short, or a rotation, and Star Wars lingo, etc. But poor guy, he used to be part of good timeout teams. He's not really that anymore. He's a requirement. Almost all bounty hunters are required, so you're gonna have the whole faction relic at some point. And the ones that aren't required for a Galactic Legend are like the best ones almost. So that being said, he's a requirement for Executor. He doesn't have his own ship. I would love it if they added the punishing one. Maybe he'd move up the rankings at that point. He's just, he's got an okay lead. Sometimes you want to use it. Like I said, he's not like the worst of them. He's just, he's not the best. Next, we have didn't shoot first Greedo, except for George Lucas made a weird error in judgment in editing film that showed him shooting first. It's very strange. But Greedo, he does some okay stuff. His Zeta is kind of fun, but he's squishy. He has old school stats. Like, a lot of these characters are like release day characters, and their stats haven't changed. And all the more recent characters are going to have way better stats, way more relevance, and he's alright. His thermal detonators explode after 1 turn instead of after 2 for the majority of other bounty hunters. If your guild is for some reason doing the Sith Triumvirate raid, there's actually a build with him that lets you just auto the whole raid. I don't know why you'd want to do that. The crate raid is going to be way better, and then of course the new one is even better. Of course, he's also part of the crate raid, which is still relevant for a month or 2 or however long until it gets replaced with Endor, after which he's even less relevant. He also doesn't have a ship. He could, in theory, just multi-shot his way to glory and kill a Galactic Legend via, like, 28,000 shots in a row because of his randomizer, but, I mean, that I've only seen something crazy like that happen one time, and it was to me, and it was not to a Galactic Legend. So, yeah, he's alright. He's not good, really. It's kind of a shame. He could be better. He could be ranked better under other circumstances. Alright, now we have Cad Bane. He also has no nose, guys. He's like Newt. He's not a Nemoidian, though. And I think his best quality is his ship. Xanadu Blood is a fantastic ship for the third best fleet in the game at this point, because the Leviathan is out now. And yes, he's part of the Hutt Cartel faction. Some people have been using him with Jabba sometimes, and he's not totally awful. He's just not totally amazing either. He's got a pretty reliable stun and dispel with his special. His leadership is really nothing to be admired. His ship is pretty fantastic, though, and he was very instrumental, very strong in the crate raid. You can see he's Relic 8 for me, because you could get a 27 or 2.7 million score with Cad Bane. He's not terrible. Mostly his ship is the reason why you want relics on him, though, folks. IG-88 is... I feel like AG-89 should have come out by now to replace him. He's also outdated. He's squishy. He does some cool stuff. He has healing immunity. He's Relic 9 here because he's part of that the Executor fleet, the third best fleet in the game. Again, really nice to have him at Relic 9 sometimes. And otherwise, like, he's got some okay synergy with like target lock teams, because if they don't get rid of target lock, then they can't heal, and so you can kind of mess with them. He's kind of just a weird add-on to Grievous squads. He's not great. Like, he's gonna go with Afra most of the time now, so he's kind of got a place in the game. But for the most part, you want to use other characters than him. So what is he like? He has old school stats, starting level stats, start like 8 years ago stats. So he's fine. He's not great. The ship, of course, is probably his redeeming grace. And then I just can't believe that Embo is actually 13 on this list. The Bounty Hunters are such a strong faction. I love all of them so much. He is amazing in territory wars. He's amazing in PvE. Like, I love the fact that his animation to throw his hat is one of my favorites. I know that it's probably not the fanciest, but it's just one of the most iconic. His unique icon here looks like a mushroom. I mean, like, there's a lot of cool stuff about Embo. He dispels on basic, and when he's with a Hutt Cartel team, he's usually the weakest, so he gets called to assist a lot. He's dispelling all the time. He can heal himself. His modding is kind of fun to work on and do for some reason. Like, he's cool. I actually don't think, maybe, is he required for things? Maybe he's one of the few that isn't required for things, but one of my favorite characters. He can't be crit as long as you apply the Zeta, and I don't know, he's fine. He's nothing to write home to, guys, as far as, like, he's someone you can live without, unfortunately. Poor guy. Hope no one ever says that about me. Alright, now we have Nail in Her Head, Aura Singh, and gosh, I mean, she's so instrumental. She's so good especially for early game teams where you want to snipe out your opponent's best character. She is so strong. Her leadership is amazing for bounty hunters if you want to get that initial disintegrate with Mando. She also at Relic 6, because she's required for Hutt Cartel, she also does a crazy amount of damage and stuff. She was a release character for the Sith Triumvirate raid back in the day, and she does extra damage with her Zeta for Toppled, which is so funny. Like, it hasn't seemed relevant for years and years, but she does some cool stuff. Her lead is, of course, like I said, is very instrumental for doing things. She has her stun on basic, like, lots of stuff that I really like about her. She just happens to be number 12 on the list, because there are 11 stronger bounty hunters, if you can believe it, including Mr. Chrysanthemum here. who's number 11, and he's ranked this high, guys, because his stat pool is so insane. Once you get him to Relic 9, he is just a very impressive furball. He does a lot of stuff, like, he's the only other tank in the Bounty Hunter faction, or at least the only other one that does tanking things. He does cool things like reduce, it hurts your opponent a ton for all of the different things he has. In GAC, he has his Omicron that hurts their potency. You have his dismember ability that takes, so it does disarm, and it does minus 50% crit damage and offense for as long as he stays alive, and he stays alive for a really long time. Look at how tanky he gets, guys. I have him at 200,000-ish protection, and then once you put that Omicron on him in GAC, he gets another 40%, so that's 80 more protection, and then that's health, that's before anything that Jabba adds. Just a very, very strong unit. You can also throw him with like Afra, I guess, if you really wanted to. He's kind of awkward there. It doesn't work there that well, but he's this high because of his value to the total Bounty Hunter faction. He's fine. He's good, and as another Bounty Hunter tank, because that's what they need more. They need one more really good tank, in my opinion. Now, we have Zam here, who is not number 12. She's number 10, which I can't believe either. She is so good as well as, she doesn't want, you want her Omicron. If her Omicron didn't exist, I wouldn't care about her at all, but she gives her whole team like 70 more speed, which is less and less relevant these days, but it still helps you outspeed a lot of things that you want to get, that you want to outspeed, and she does a lot of cool stuff. She's pretty great. She's a changeling, and yet the picture, the icon of her, whatever, is of a just a human. So that's anticlimactic. All right, now we have Cyan of Django, and I think a lot of people will wonder, why do I have him this high? I guess he's not a requirement either. He's a conquest character, kind of tough to get. The thing is, he does a couple cool things. First off, he goes well with Bossk lead, because first off, he can ignore taunt, and even if he can't ignore stealth, he does have AoEs. He has other abilities that always hit the weakest character, and so he's instrumental in taking out a few different teams. And then of course in territory wars, if you care about territory wars and your guild wants to do this, you can always kill Lord Vader teams using him, and he does facilitate that pretty well if you have the rest of the team. It's just it's a big pain to get there, I guess, guys. That's all. Alright, Django is number 8 on this list, and he's kind of slid a little bit. He ignores taunt. He's amazing. He does healing immunity. He reduces max health with his AoE. He double taps on basic, and he does a really nice amount of damage. He's a requirement character for Jedi Master Kenobi, and let's see, I have him modded currently for all health because he was going to be on a Mandalorian, or on a Maul Mandalorian team, because he also has a million tags, guys. He's very strong. He's a good character. He's just I mean, there's still 7 better bounty hunters out there. He's good with separatists. I love him with separatists, actually. I love him with Mandalorians. I love him with bounty hunters. He's a really strong lead as well for all scoundrels. All scoundrels just have plus 30 speed, which is so obnoxious, and you can get his contract. It takes a while to get, but I like to use him as well as a secondary option, or maybe like a tertiary option for smaller accounts to be able to get good banners or get good scores on the crate raid. Now of course that's going to go away, but with all of his tags and all of his stuff, he's very, very relevant to the game. He just happens to be the 8th best in my opinion. I love that he ignores revives as well. Early game, that is so clutch, so nice to have there as well. All right, now we have the top 7, which is gonna get nuts. At number 7 we have Fennec Shand, folks, and she's also, I mean, obviously she's number 7 on this list of a very strong faction. She's really good. She spearheads all of the off-meta stuff against Lord Vader, she is, even if you don't want to do the off-med against Lord Vader, she is also the reason that bounty hunters are the best cleanup crew in the game. They clean up all the different galactic legends because Fennec kicks people in the nuts 5 times on her basic, and she does armor shred as well. She does, and she gets that contract so quickly. She goes so well with Bossk, and especially with Mandalorian, that Mandalorian can call her. She hits 5 times on whoever Mando calls to assist, because Mando can ignore that taunt. And so between the two of them, they get 60% of Bosk's turn or contract on their own, even past a taunt out there. So really strong stuff. She is just she kicks a lot of nuts and ass, all kinds of things in that region apparently. So very strong requirement character for Jabba. Just one of my favorite characters, honestly, guys. Really fun. At number 6, we have Boba Fett, which is crazy. I mean, so he's really great in the Hutt Cartel. Like, he's with Hutt Cartel. He's in the crate raid. He's a bounty hunter. He's a scoundrel. He does all kinds of stuff. His leadership is universal, so all allies gain extra crit damage and crit chance. Really nice stuff. Bounty hunters gain speed for debuffed enemies, blah, blah, blah. He does a lot of cool stuff. He's a pilot for one of the best ships in the game, even if it wasn't on one of the best fleets in the game. He does a double tap with his basic, where he does dots with dot synergy on a lot of different squads out there. His execute ignores revives, or disallows revives, and AoE with ability block and a 2-turn ability block on the targeted character. He can ignore taunt. He does all kinds of awesome stuff, guys. One of the most versatile characters, probably one of the first characters you're going to want to relic in this game, honestly. If for a new player, just one character is required for a few different factions and things. He's transcendent, guys. He's great, and yet he's not top 5. Somehow he's not top 5. You know who is top 5 is the Mandalorian himself. He disintegrates things. He's one of the really great cleanup characters. He's a requirement kind of for Beskar Mando. You don't really need him to be high relics for that, but his disintegrate move is just so strong, guys. And not to mention, guys, the other thing that really makes him really strong is whenever he does a crit, he gains 30% turn meter, which is really nice on its own. But then he hands that turn meter he hands 15% turn meter to the rest of his team. So every time he crits, and people call him to assist a lot with this faction. And so when he crits, then the rest of his team gets turn meter, and it turns into a mini turn meter train. Really strong characters. Disintegrate move, like I said, there aren't many characters with a move like that. Him and Nihilus alone, because the other ones that have an instant kill can be revived. His can't be revived from. So really strong character. Part of my very favorite team in the whole game. Honestly, really fun, guys. Boosh is next on the list, guys, and she is. Oh, hold on. Whoa, we had a numbers malfunction. Madness. Be grateful it wasn't a wardrobe malfunction. Now, she is great with Jabba. There's no denying it. She's so irritating if you're facing her, and she throws a million thermal detonators. A thing she never did in the movies. She just threatened to throw thermal detonators. But she also is someone who contributes. If you have to pick one character to go with Jabba, it's either Chrysanthemum or Boosh. I would pick Boosh. She goes really well with him. However, you also don't need her to be amazing with just with Jabba. She also has part of Jabba's best kit piece, which is the where is it? I don't even know, guys. The Deadly Bluff, which disallows people from being able to assist and attack out of turn. Amazing stuff. She also has an Omicron, which used to be my very favorite Omicron in the faction. No longer, because she is the faction that raid is going away. Crate raid is going away, and so that sucks. She still hits really hard. You can make it really tanky. You can do all kinds of stuff with her. Very strong character, obviously. Now, for the top 3. Next up, we have Greef Karga, and he's one of those characters. I always see people's factions. Look, if I'm doing a roster review or roast, I always see every bounty hunter relict except for him and Mando, and I'm like, man, they're like top 5 in the faction. They're so strong. And the thing is, he's the only one who will dispel in the whole faction. He can dispel all the debuffs on his team, but his dispel is so much more than that. It's really good. He does his frenzy flurry attack, whatever it's called, the mass assist. It does extra damage if you put the Zeta on him. It just boosts all of the bounty hunters so much. His cleanse gives everyone retribution, which then that saved me so many times when he puts retribution on everyone, and then someone hits Mando, and Mando hits back, does a crit, gives the whole team turn meter, and gets Mando a turn before someone else, and he disintegrates someone before they get to destroy, like finish us off. He starts in stealth, so he's not a target. He's part of the Fennec lead Lord Vader counter squad, which is amazing. He's got two hits on his basic, which combined with Bossk's lead is really nice. Him and Bossk are good speed, so you can, as he goes just one step of speed below what Bossk is, so that you can get the instant contract blender aura lead. Just an amazing character. He dispels with his mass assist. One of my favorites, guys. He's a legend. He just is. Number 2 on this list, folks, is Bossk. He's got one of the best ships in the game, and that's not just for the fleet. I mean, he is part of the executor fleet, obviously, really strong. But then he also he's one of the best tanks in the game. He's crazy tanky. How tanky do I have him? Yeah, he's not too. I probably don't have him the best modded, but you make him fast so that he has a good tandem with Greef, and then Zam, of course, boosts their speed in GAC, and he does the taunt, and the taunt it's not relinquished by him right away, as long as your weakest opponent has protection. He calls people to assist. He gives offense up to a faction that already hits pretty hard. He gives extra tankiness to them. He has a heal that makes him good against a ton of different factions. He's one of the best pilots, and one of the best, just the best lead, one of the best leads in the game, in my opinion. Or at least, he's starting to get outclassed, of course, so slowly over time. That just happens. But, yeah, he's one of my favorites, guys. Once he was released, Bounty Hunters instantly became one of my favorites, even before Greef and Mando came out. So, finally, folks, the number 1, as you probably have guessed by now, is the Slug himself, and it's kind of self-explanatory. Galactic legend, really strong. I don't know how he's a bounty hunter. Pretty dumb that he has to be number 1, but he is. Anything else would be disingenuous. So I'm gonna let it go. What do you guys agree with, disagree with on this ranking? Would love to hear you guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails.